this video, we are going to talk about amortization and sinking funds.
So first of all, let's have a brief overview of the topics. So what is sinking fund? So sinking fund is an interest earning account into which periodic payments are made for accumulating a specific amount of money for future obligations.
Amortization, on the other hand, is a financial agreement whereby a lump sum is incurred at compound interest and is repaid by a series of payments for some.
So by the end of this video, the viewers will be able to
Number 1. Compare amortization and sinking fund schedules.
and number 2 is create their own amortization and sinking fund schedules.
So here is our example problem. So if Mr. Justin wants to accumulate 100,000 pesos for his retirement in 3 years, how much will he need to deposit in the bank offers an interest rate of 6% compounded monthly? So since deposits are made at the end of each month, so this is a simple NBT. So here in screen we have present value, periods, rate, payment, and final value. So here in our present value, we can have 0. Since Mr. Justin starts with nothing saved. Then here in our periods, we have to multiply the number of conversion per year, which is 12, and then the time period, which is 3, since it is 3 years. So we have to put, or we have to type equal sign, and then 12 times 3. Then we can have 36 periods. So now here in our interest rate, we have to divide the nominal interest rate. So our nominal interest rate here is the 6% or 0.06%, and the the number of conversion per year. So we have to type equal and then 0.06 divided by 12, and we will have 0.005. So now let's set aside muna ang payment, and here in our final value we can have 100,000 pesos. So here in our payment, so we need to compute the monthly deposit using the PMT function. So let's put an equal sign first. Then we have to type PMT, then open parenthesis. So first we have to click the rate, comma, then N represents the number of periods. So here, and then PV, which is the present value, comma. So before we click the final value, we have first put the negative sign, and then click the final value, and then click 0 since it is a ordinary interest. So we can have 2,542.19 pesos. So the purpose of putting a negative sign on the future value is to avoid having a negative amount of our PMT or our payment. So now let's proceed to our period. So we need to input 1. So our initial amount here is, we have to put an equal sign first, and then we need to click the present value, then enter. So now in our PMT, let's put an equal sign, then we have to click the payment or the PMT, then enter. So our PMT is equal to 2,542.19 pesos. So now in our interest, we have to put an equal sign, and then the present value, and then multiplied by the rate, and then enter. And now in our final amount, let's put an equal sign, and then type sum and open parenthesis. So we have to put the initial amount, drag to the interest, and we have to put in or enter. So our final amount will be equivalent to 2,542.19 pesos. Next, in our second period naman, so we have to put in 2, and then in our initial amount naman of the second period is the final amount of the previous period, which is here. So we need to type equal sign, then click the previous final amount, then enter. So now here naman in our PMT, we have, let's have the same process also. Let's put some equal sign, then click the payment and or PMT. But here we need to put a dollar sign between the letter B and the number 4. So here and enter. So in our interest naman, let's put an equal sign, then click the initial amount, then multiply to the rate. So let's do the same process naman of what we have done in the PMT. So let's put a dollar sign in between B and 3 and then enter. So our amount is 12.71 pesos. So here in our final amounts, let's do the same process. So here, let's type sum and then open parenthesis and then click the initial amount, then drag to the interest and then enter. So our final amount of our second period is 5,097.10 pesos. So in order to get the amount of period 3 to 36, instead of doing the same process manually, we just have to click the period 2, then drag to the final amount, and then we need to drag up into 34 row here. And then as we can see, after we paid 2,542.19 pesos with the interest of 484.86 pesos, we come up to the final amount of 100,000 pesos.
So for the amortization schedule, we have here a sample problem. Johansson pays 1,785 pesos quarterly for 2 years to settle his debt. If money is worth 15% compounded monthly, how much was the original debt? So the first thing to do is to determine the given in the problem. So we are looking for the present value, which means that we find the value for this cell. So now, since there isn't a given future value, we put 0 in this cell. Next, we have the n per as the number of compounding periods, which is 2 years times 12 is equal to 24. Then the rate. So to get the rate, we get this by dividing the interest rate by the number of compounding periods per year, which is 15% divided by 12 is equal to 0.0125. Then lastly, we have PMT as the regular payment, which is 1,785 pesos. So the next thing to do is to find the present value. So to compute, let's consider putting an equal sign first to help Excel determine that the elements that are plugged in are parts of a formula. So it is followed by P and V. Then open parenthesis. Then after that, tap the corresponding cells for first rate, then comma, n per, comma, then the PMT. But take note that we should put a negative sign before the PMT in respect to the calculation system of Excel. So negative sign, then the PMT, then comma. Next, future value, and lastly, take note that we are using ordinary simple annuity, so we should put a 0 at the end of the formula. Then, close parenthesis, then there you have it. You have 36,814.26 pesos as the present value. So now, let's begin with creating the amortization schedule. So in the first column, we have the number of months followed by the beginning balance, the PMT or the payment, interest, principal, and balance or the remaining balance. So in this column, in this first column, we are given with 24 equal monthly payments that we have it numbered 1 to 24. So next, the beginning balance is the present value or the original debt. So that means we put an equal sign and the corresponding cell for the present value. Then enter. Then the same way goes with the PMT or the payment, an equal sign, then the PMT. So for the interest, we get the interest by multiplying the present value with the rate. So that is how we get the interest. And then the principal, we get the principal by subtracting the interest from the PMT. So equal sign PMT minus the interest. So that is our principal. Then for the balance or the remaining balance, it is computed by subtracting the principal from the beginning balance. So equal sign, then beginning balance minus the principal. Then there you have it. So that is how the first payment goes. And in the second month or in the second payment, the remaining balance is your new beginning balance. And to keep going, we simply repeat the processes. So let's finish the second month or the second payment. So our new beginning balance here is the remaining balance from the previous payment, which is 35,489.44. Then enter. So now, since the payment is constant and it cannot be changed, so to keep it going, we should put dollar signs in between the letters before and after the letters of its corresponding column to get it going. So equal sign, then the PMT, then let's put the dollar signs. $1 sign before the K and then after the K, 1. So enter. The next, the interest. So we put equal sign, then the beginning balance multiplied by the rate. So to keep this going, we know that the rate is constant and it cannot be changed. So simply we should put dollar signs before the K and then after the K. And that is the interest for the second month. So for the principal, we get this by equal sign PMT minus the interest. So the constant one here is the PMT. So we put dollar sign before and after the column or the letter of the column. Then enter. And so the remaining balance would be equal sign, then the new beginning balance subtracted with the principal, then here it goes. Now to keep it going also, we can simply drag this border to fill it up until the last payment and will be automatically calculated. So select this or the second payment, then tap fill, then drag the border until the very last payment. Then there you have it. So as you can see, the last remaining balance is 0. So that means that after 24 monthly payments, you have successfully settled your balance.